Silent Hill, a series known for its intense psychological horror, a series that makes you feel uneasy every second of gameplay, a series with beautifully terrifying storytelling, a franchise that truly embraces what true horror is. Now, if you would have told me 5 to 10 years ago that Silent Hill would be getting consistent releases, I would have sat there and called you a lying Harley because it just seemed impossible. This franchise was in the graveyard for so freaking long. But to everybody's surprise, the impossible became possible, because after the Silent Hill 2 remake's massive success, Konami has clearly shown the Silent Hill fanbase that this series is here to stay. Safe to say, the remake actually revived the franchise. All people could wonder after the success of Silent Hill 2 was, what is next for the franchise? Well, we didn't have to wait too long, because just the next following year, we got the announcement of Silent Hill F, which is releasing very soon, September 25th. Now, Silent Hill F was a forgotten project that was announced alongside Silent Hill 2 Remake and Silent Hill Townfall. This definitely shocked a lot of the Silent Hill fanbase because it has been a very long time since we got in consistent back-to-back Silent Hill games. Now, Silent Hill F was announced to come out on September 25th, which is just a few months away. But people quietly forgot about this game because it has went through a 2-year process with little to no update. So after constantly going through the gameplay footage and the trailers, the cutscenes, all of that good stuff, I can say it left a very impressive yet terrifying impression on me. So with that being said, I actually believe this is going to be the most horrific and darkest game in the series. Let's talk Silent Hill F. Looks like it is returning to the classic horror roots that all of us grew up on. Now, the first thing that caught my eye with the recent trailers, the setting of the game, because the game takes place in 1960s Japan in a very small rural town with a very eerie yet peaceful atmosphere. The fog covering up the whole town, so much emptiness and quietness, very narrow alleyways that doesn't give the player much room to breathe, and in fact makes the player more vulnerable, the Silent Hill specialty that we all know and love. Also, this game being only combat makes the horror much more impactful in my opinion. You either have to face the horror head on or make a business decision and run with limited room around. Which, come on, let's be real here, that's what made the PlayStation 2 era horror games so iconic. Now, Silent Hill is known for its unique and creative enemy designs. I think the grotesque mannequin looking enemies are some of the best in the series and actually separates themselves from the other enemies in the series. And me being terrified of mannequins in real life, that shit does not help whatsoever. These enemies absolutely send chills down my damn spine. They have this awkward movement and lack of facial expression that are beyond creepy to me. Now, one thing that really stuck out to me was the fact that the mannequins look like these feminine schoolgirls, which, if I had to guess, that means it's representing the innocent girls that ended up in this horrifying situation. These schoolgirls most likely ended up being twisted into these horrifying things. There was even an enemy that looks like a bunch of dolls combined into one, and I'm gonna be honest, that design scares the ever-loving shit out of me. I mean, I cannot get that image out of my head. This is literally my worst nightmare in game form. A lot of them have missing body parts, and some have fungus-looking parts, or some sort of fungus corruption, which clearly means, much like the other Silent Hill enemies in the past, have a lot of backstory to their design, which is still absolutely terrifying. Now, this is clearly body horror. It's something we do not get in horror games nowadays. So I'm glad to see something like this. It brings some creativeness and uniqueness to the horror genre. With that being said, that's just the enemies we've seen. Who else knows what awaits us in the fog? One thing I really noticed watching some of the gameplay clips and everything, that there is actually a lot of beauty within the horror, which is the theme of the game. There's so much beauty from the flowers, which are the spider lilies. You see the spider lilies walking throughout the foggy fields and in decaying houses. And then you have the horror with these grotesque enemies waiting to reveal itself from the fog. But not only that, there is so much unsettling decay that's plastered all over this world that clearly used to be a lively town, creating a strong psychological horror experience. And not to mention, although the spider lilies are beautiful flowers, they actually symbolize death and the afterlife, which is pretty much a known thing in Japanese and Chinese cultures. So even the beauty has a darker meaning to it. Now, after one of the most recent trailers for Silent Hill F, they actually put out a warning for this game, which is freaking ridiculous. I don't think any other Silent Hill game had this treatment before, but they actually came out and publicly stated that this game has gender discrimination, child abuse, bullying, drug-induced hallucinations, torture, and graphic violence. Which, again, to my knowledge, was the first time they ever had to put out a disclaimer for a Silent Hill game. With even rumors of it being banned in Australia, I don't even know if that's really true or not, but that is freaking ridiculous. Clearly, to me, they're showing that they are ready to push the envelope to the fullest with this new installment. And it also doesn't help that it was followed up by the voice actor for the main character, Hinako, stating that, I quote, almost felt my own sanity slipping at times, which I don't know about y'all, but this is telling me that this game is going to be something much darker than we ever experienced in the Silent Hill series, especially from a protagonist standpoint. And we've seen a lot of Silent Hill protagonists go through some shit. This is the series that had twin kids murdered and then turned into messengers in the other world. So although the story isn't very clear right now, our main character, Hinako, a 15-year-old who was going through a lot, especially at her age. Judging off the trailers, it seems like she sees things others cannot see. And it also seems like she has a voice in her head that constantly taunts her, which I believe was her friend Sakuko. Pardon me if I'm not pronouncing that right. But she seems to be dead and haunting her in a ghostly form, constantly calling her a traitor, which definitely could mean she let her down in some way, shape, or form, or maybe actually had a hand in her demise, which is something that's not foreign to us Silent Hill players, because much like James Sunderland in Silent Hill 2, her guilt and regret possibly manifested into these monsters we see throughout the game. We don't know if Hinako is really a good person despite how innocent she looks. I think we all learned our lesson feeling bad for good old James. But Hinako is actually described as a girl struggling under the pressure of expectations from her friends, family, and even society, which is typical teenage shit that we've went through before. But it is kind of different in Japanese culture, to be fair. She used to be cheerful and energetic when she was younger, but as she got older, she changed. I mean, who knows if that means Hinako grew up and ended up being jealous of Sakuko, or maybe even felt the peer pressure from being bullied and ended up doing something horrific to her. You can tie all these things into real life situations, which make it even more horrifying. Pressure makes people do things that's out of their character all the time. I had an early prediction. My guess would be she is not innocent. There is clearly going to be a lot of disturbing situations, especially pertaining to women in this game. Also, it will not be for the weak. I honestly think we can get a disturbing situation, kind of like Haunting Ground, with the theme and the story of the game being something so out of left field that it can rub people the wrong way. And I really hope Konami pushes that envelope. We do not get games with these sick, demented stories anymore, and it seems like that's the route Konami is going. So in my opinion, this is clearly going to be one of the most unique games in the series, and I'm definitely confident that this will be the best story out of the series since Silent Hill 4. I don't really think that's such a hot take, because even though Silent Hill 4 had its issues, the story was incredible. I don't feel like all the other Silent Hill games in the series even matched up with the first 4 games. I think Silent Hill F puts an end to that. But if you made it to the end of the video, I appreciate the support. Don't forget to hit that like button, get this video out to the masses, help this channel grow. Subscribe if you love horror gaming content, just gaming content as a whole. I'll catch you guys in the next video. Stay safe out in these gaming streets. Peace out.